Butterfly. We're starting on number 30. That's where we left off yesterday. If you know the answer quickly and say it before I say it, I'll give you a point. If you get the letter D, you can get a point. It's really concerning. X-intercepts we talked about yesterday. You could always put it in y equals mx plus b if you wanted to, and then graph it and then look to see, but that takes time. X-intercepts happen when y is 0. If I plug in a 0 for y, I'll have negative 5x equals 20 because the 10y goes away, so x equals negative 4, so the answer is D. 31 is probably also concerning. The slope of the line, x equals negative 2. Now draw me a quick little picture of a graph. I know x equals negative 2 is going to happen on the x-axis. I want a line to go through that point. Better be this kind of a line. If it's an up and down line like that, it doesn't have a slope of 0. It has an undefined slope. So a slope of 0 is like a straight line like this. That's when the slope is 0. But if our line is up and down, it's undefined. Now, if you've forgotten, it's always kind of humorous to think about if this was a car. If our car was driving down, you know, if we're trying to think of it, and our car is in neutral, by the way. If our car is, and we push it down a hill, you know, that's a negative slope. And if we literally push it up the hill, that's a positive slope. If it's just, you know, in neutral, it's not moving at all, it's just flat, it's 0. And if our car somehow has done this, then we're undefined. So if you've forgotten that, that's a little sad, but we'll move on. 32, they tell us 2 points, negative 7, 4, and 5y. They tell us the slope is negative 1, 4. They ask us to find the value of y. I know 2 ways to handle this. You would have a suggestion. So we could just, well, not, you don't even have the point slope. We could just use slope. So the slope formula was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm a formula person, so this is probably the way I would go. So in our case, we know the m is negative 1, 4. y2 minus y1, that's going to be y minus 4. x2 minus x1, that's going to be 5 minus a negative 7. I can't clean up that left-hand side any, but on that right-hand side, I can combine those two numbers in the denominator to get 5 plus 7, which is 12. Now, we're not done, clearly, because we've not reached an answer choice. From here, we could cross multiply, or we could just use our brain. So I'm going to do both. If we cross multiply, we would have 4 times y minus 4 equals negative 1 times 12. So 4y minus 16 equals negative 12. So 4y equals 4. So y, it should be 4y equals 4. So y equals 1. That's one way, but would I have thought to do the blue? Probably not. I actually was thinking through in fractions. So I went to here, and I said, okay, I somehow need something over 12 to reduce to negative 1/4. So I knew I needed it to be negative in the numerator. And I also realized I needed it to be a 3, because 3 over 12 reduces to 1 over 4. So I asked myself, what do I need to plug in for my answer choices so that numerator is a negative 3? And that's why I knew it was D, because 1 minus 4 really is that negative 3. So that's how I figured it out. But there's still a third way, so if you're not liking any of this, you're not a formula person, you don't want to think fractions, you can't cross multiply, it's just not happening, you could always figure it out. Well, yeah, that would work too. You could always figure it out by graphing. if you plotted A at negative 7, 4, and you know that B is somewhere over here where X is 5, you know the slope is negative 1/4, so why not just count like the negative 1/4 and just count, and you'll end up figuring out exactly where that B is happening. You could. I mean, you like graphing, so that probably would be the most common way I bet people will do it. I pray there's one not like that, because that's a little deep. I would want one more like number 33. Any questions about 32? Okay, 33. Gotta find the slope. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So in our case, 8 minus 6 over negative 7 minus 2. So we get 2 over negative 9. Gilberto, you said it first, so you get the point. It is C. Now, what happened to get A is that some people, again, sign errors, they did negative 7 plus 2 and got negative 5. So that's how A came up. B, actually. And then notice A and D are just the flip versions of B and C. So they're just trying to really confuse you. 34 looks hard, but it actually ends up being probably the easiest one of the day. What answer? You can have a point. We know the slope is 4/5. We know a point of 0, 7. So at first I was going to do point slope, but then I was thinking things through. Slope intercept is y equals mx plus b. So I know my m is 4/5. I knew it was 4/5 x, so I was not picking A, I was not picking B, I was either picking C or D to begin with. And then I knew it was plus 7, because that B is my y-intercept. Y-intercepts happen when x is 0, so they gave you the intercept to begin with. 34 is as nice as it gets. 35 is probably going to break my heart like 31 did. It requires us to understand undefined. So we know there's a point at 5, 1. We're asked to find a line that has undefined slope. So we need a line that goes like this through it. So it has to be D. If you said A or B, y equals 1 has a slope of 0. Y equals 5, yeah, it might, some of these are going to, but it still has a slope of 0. So it's not either of the y's. And then x equals 1 is a straight up and down line, but it doesn't cross through 5, 1. So the answer had to be D. Okay, 36. This is where life gets fun. 36. First things first, let's find the slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What letter did you say? Say it again. D? I think you're right. If you are, you can have a point. Negative 7 minus negative 2 over 3 minus negative 1. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Yep, so I've got negative 7 plus 2, which is negative 5. 3 plus 1, which is 4. So my slope is negative 5 over 4. Now, could I then keep going and put it in point slope and solve and get y equals mx plus b? Absolutely. And if this was not a multiple choice test, I would keep going from here. But thankfully, this is multiple choice. That one doesn't have the right slope, that one doesn't, and that one's not negative. So Daniel is right, and he can have a point. The only one with the correct slope is D. 37. Slope of a line that is parallel to the graph 2x minus 3y equals 6. You have a point, Gilberto. There was a trick to knowing slope instantly in standard form, it's a over negative b. But if you don't know that, because I don't remember that, I always just move it around and put it in slope-intercept. I move my x's over. I divide by negative 3. I get 2/3 x minus 2. Parallel lines have the same slope, so for sure the answer is C. (38) Again, we're wanting to know parallel. Say it again. Yes, you can have a point. So I would move the x's over. I would divide by 3 and get negative 2/3 x plus 5/3. And so, again, parallel, they have the same slope. So it is B. (39), or whatever the next one is, 39. Which of the following, which is the equation of a line that passes through a point with coordinates 7, -1 and is perpendicular to the graph of y equals 2x plus 1? Y plus 2x equals 1. It's something to read today. It said this, y plus 2x equals 1. So that line is y equals negative 2x plus 1. My slope needs to be perpendicular to that line. So what is my slope? The slope of one line is negative 2. My slope needs to be perpendicular. So what is my slope? Listen. So what? You can have a point. You're still going to get my mini lecture, and you can have a point. Listen, I know I want you to know a lot of math, and I know life is hard, and it's almost December. I got all that. But you had algebra 1, and they went over parallel and perpendicular algebra 1. You had geometry, and we went over parallel and perpendicular geometry. And we've already done them here too. Now granted, it was like August or September, and it's now the end of November. I got that. But perpendicular has to have the negative reciprocal slope, so you got to flip it and change the sign, so it is positive 1/2. Now, if I can remember and look up whether or not you've done a homework assignment, surely you can know what a perpendicular slope is supposed to look like. Okay, so I automatically know what answer choices are out. 2, get another point. B and A are out. It's either C or D. We don't know. We're going to actually do some math. I'm annoyed with both C and D. Can anyone tell me why I'm annoyed? I don't like those. I would rather, yes, I don't like that. I'd rather see an improper fraction. So I'd rather see like 5/2 and 9/2. But, you know, I digress. I did not make it. I do what I'm told. So there's a point. We have a slope. So we're going to need point slope. You didn't remember that perpendicular with negative reciprocal. Should I hold out hope that you remember point slope, or should I just tell you what it is? Okay. I'm not going to just tell you in real life. But it's y2 minus y1 equals mx2 minus x1. We are going to plug in a point. We're going to plug in our slope. Our slope is 1/2. The point we're going to plug in is 7, -1. So I'm going to have y2 minus a -1, x2 minus 7. So I have y2 plus 1 equals 1/2 x2 minus 7/2. I've just distributed the 1/2, and negative makes positive. I normally get lazy after that and stop writing the tiny 2's. If I subtract both sides by 1, I've got 1/2 x minus, and I don't know what 7/2 minus 1 is, but the good news is my calculator does. If I ask my calculator to give me that fraction, it will. Does anyone know what the answer is? What am I looking for? I I don't want 2.5 or 4.5. What number am I looking for? I'm looking for an improper fraction. And what improper fraction am I looking for? God bless you, Jax. You can have 2 points. Which is D. So you were right. 9 over 2 is 4.5. No one disagrees, but that's what I would want to see. Why they gave the answer choices the way they did, I wish I could tell you. The good news is we're off that for a few minutes. We're on to, instead of being on just specifically linear functions, we're on to absolute value functions. So we want to know the range of the graph absolute value x minus 4. God bless you, and you can have a point. Absolute value, what does that, what letter of the alphabet does that look like? Yes, no, quadratics are used. Quadratics are used. What we've been doing the past like month is a U. Absolute value is a V. And then the minus 4 makes me move left, right, up, down 4. Yes, on the outside it makes me move down 4. So my graph looks like this in blue. And when we do range, we're trying to say what, when we reach out from that y-axis, when can we touch it? I can touch it at -4, -3, -2, at 0. I can touch it, but at -5, -6, I sure can't touch it. So it is B. There is one dumb answer choice on number 40. What is the dumb answer choice?
Is it all D?
No, all the numbers is not a dumb answer choice. Why is it that one?
What? That's the answer.
The answer is B.
Wouldn't it be C?
Okay, I'm just going to tell you so you stop hurting my feelings. The dumb answer choice would be A because it said range. Range is wise. So A would be dumb. So like on 41, it still says range, so C would be dumb. Okay. Absolute value x. We're not moving him left, right, up, or down any. It's going to be at the origin. It's a V. So now we've just got to decide. They've written it in weird notation. We know it's not C. We've got to decide which one of these is it. It is B because, and you can have a point, it says greater than or equal to 0. We can reach out and touch it at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, any number bigger than 0. So that's why it's greater than or equal to 0. Okay, let's go on to 42. is really, really, really easy. And we're going to have a point. It's C absolute value. I got a point for doing nothing. Yay! 43. Again, they give you this equation. They ask who the parent function is. Why? Gilberto. If I wasn't married and that wasn't weird, like I've never been more proud of anyone than I am at you at this moment.
What does that have to do with it?
Because it was awesome. It was freaking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but why'd you say if I wasn't married?
Because, I don't know. I was trying to be funny, Cooper. It came out all wrong. God, Cooper, leave me alone. No one first period remember that we did not like the vocab term identity, so we would always scratch it out and put the word linear. And if identity comes up on the test, I'm probably going to scratch it out and put linear. I know that makes me ghetto, but I'm going to. I'm supposed to do what everyone else does, but for this, I don't know why we're calling it identity. It's linear. You know that's a linear function. It's linear. I will fix it come test time, but I did not fix it come study guide because life's hard. Okay, 44. Type of function represented by the equation y equals -3. It is a constant because it's going to be a straight line at -3. So it is A, and you can have a point too. You hurt my feelings if you chose C or D. Surely you were going to guess A or B to begin with. Absolute value is the V. Quadratic's the U. Yeah, you're supposed to remember all that. 45 uses words. Oh no. Fred works as a gardener. He charges at least $15 to drive to a residence, and then he charges $12 an hour. Which best represents the relationship between the number of hours gardening, G, and the total charge? You know, the key word that helps me know the answer to the entire thing. Oh, it is an actual phrase. That is true. There's a phrase that let me know the answer. But all the answers had 15 plus 12G. I just need to decide less than or equal to, less than, greater than or equal to.
He charges at least.
At least. So which answer choice is that?
Oh, that's
It is D, greater than or equal to. He needs at least 15. So he's going to either get that or more. Karen, you get your point. 46 is where life got a little hazy first period. I pray it doesn't for us, because this is when we're finally to the chapter 3 material, people. The stuff that was not that long ago. We're supposed to remember this. Systems of equations. We need to know, first of all, what do these words mean? So can you tell me, if I were to graph two lines, what would consistent and independent look like? Do the lines cross? Are they parallel? Are they the same line? They cross. Okay, and then B says inconsistent. So do the lines cross? Are they parallel? Or are they the same line? Inconsistent. They are parallel. So we're running low on options. Clearly consistent and dependent is that they are the same line. The reason it's independent on this one is because the answer, we kept talking about that answer was special and unique. That's why it's independent. Dependent, they share lots and lots and lots of answers. Those answers are not special. They're not unique. That's why it was dependent. It's not going to be. So we were either guessing A, B, or C. So now back to our problem. We have 4x plus 2y equals negative 6. And then 2x minus y equals 8. I thought I was going to be able to guess this outright to begin with, and I couldn't. Why?
because I was just looking at the negative 6 and the 8. Am I wrong?
To look at the negative 6 and the 8, yes, and your answer selection, no. Am I giving you your point for it? No. How would I figure this out in real life? What do I need to put it in order to graph it? Okay, but I can't type in 4x plus 2.
You could actually multiply it by 2 on the left, the equation.
Get out of my head, Karen. Golly. Karen is thinking like me today, so I was trying to be lazy, and I was not going to put it in slope-intercept. I thought, hey, you know how sometimes we can just recognize like they're really the same equation? Or like maybe if they're the same equation. So if we multiply and we've got both top and bottom, we're the same equation. If we could somehow make that happen, then that would mean they're the same line, so we would know the answer C. Now, if we were to multiply and we get like one equation and 4x plus 2y equals 8, well, they don't have the same numbers on their end. So then they would have been parallel, so it would have been B. But sadly, so Karen was trying to think like me. I was trying to easy my way out of it. So I multiplied the bottom by 2, and I got 4x minus 2y equals 16. And I couldn't really compare them then. I assumed they were supposed to cross, but that darn negative, because my top equation has a plus 2y, and the bottom equation has a minus 2y. So I couldn't say for sure. I wanted to say they were going to be parallel in B, but because of that sign, I couldn't commit. So I ended up being like Daniel, and I put it in y equals x plus b. But could Karen recognize from here? Since it's not the case that they're the same equation, since it's not the case that they have different numbers on the end, but the same on the left, maybe from there we should have recognized A, yeah. But I was like, Daniel, I gave up. So it was 4x plus 2y equals negative 6. So I said 2y equals negative 4x minus x. Y equals negative 2x minus 3. That's one equation. I need to graph it. I also need to graph this one, when I rearrange him, it used to be 2x minus y equals 8. When I rearrange it, I get negative y equals negative 2x plus 8. So y equals 2x minus 8. So you would assume, since they have different slopes, they're going to match. But, you know, first period self-questioning everything. So I graphed them anyway, just to make sure. I know. So I graphed them anyway. I typed them both in, press graph. Lo and behold, they really did cross. And so it is A. Now, again, did I have to do all that me and Daniel did? No. Could I have been like Karen and realized what the answer was to begin with? Yes. But Daniel and I are actually going to be able to tell you exactly where that point is. Karen is not. Does that make her less cool when it's multiple choice? Not really. But any questions about up to here? Tomorrow is, let's see, how many? 2 more pages again. So 47 is where we're starting. We're going all the way till 62. If you want to be excited, you ought to be, because so I'm saying 47 to 62, but at 56 it starts being matrices. Everybody likes matrices. So some of the ones require matrices. Okay, get out your next one today. She thought.
She really did.
Oh, I'm not typing in anything today, baby doll. It'll sit on the post-it for a couple more days. You know what you notes from yesterday? As a reminder, I'm missing many math workshop tests and many completing the square quadratic formula quizzes. Especially terrible for you because you have a test on Friday. I'm typing in the zeros on Friday, yes, but worst of all, you've not done the quiz to prove to yourself that you can complete the square, and then you're going to blow it on the test because you didn't pull it off. Completing the square is the hardest part. Quadratic formula is the easiest part if you know the formula. Someone came 0 period today to make up something. I said, do you know the quadratic formula? No. How are you going to do any of them? I don't understand.
Wait,
No.
before you gave it to me, I just like sent you a complete.
Okay. You don't have to tell me things like that. It might kind of hurt my feelings. You're just supposed to know it. Then yesterday, actually 2 days ago, we talked about how to put it in Vertex form, which was not that bad. That was medium. It kind of involved completing the square, but it was a little easier than completing the square. And then yesterday was definitely an easy. We actually took Vertex form, made it useful, and graphed really quickly from Vertex form. Were there any questions about the past 2 days? I can't go back and complete the square again, but now I'm willing to go back to the past 2 days. Like, did you have issues with Vertex form? Okay, well then we only have 4 problems today, and we're going to fly through them. You have a new text workbook assignment. It's 4 more problems in green. But literally, it's the same stuff we've been doing because the stuff we're going to do today is so easy, it's not even in the workbook. Okay, all we're doing today is 9 through 12. All we've got to do is make the list. I need to know vertex, axis of symmetry. It says describe, and our little list describes it. So I need to know vertex, axis of symmetry, shape, and direction. And we'll go over these 4, and then you can work on your mini things. What is a vertex? Can you fill in the rest of it for me, Ellie? What?
It's 5.
Okay, the shape. Because of the 3, yes. And the direction? Okay. Number 10, can someone tell me the vertex? Can you tell me the axis of symmetry? Can you tell me the shape? No, you don't have to because there's a 1 out front, so we're not changing it fatter or skinnier. It's a trick question on that one. Direction. Positive 1 in front. Perfect. Oh, now we get to number 11. Need to know that vertex. Yes, I need to know the axis of symmetry. I need to know the shape. Why?
Because of the fraction. And the directions up.
She's calling it out faster than I can write. Perfect. And then our final list. Hold on, let me get my pen ready before you start. Go. 3, -4. My axis of symmetry is 3. My shape. Irrelevant because why? Because it's a 1 in front, and then my direction is down. That's all I needed to do on that today. That's why we did so many math workshops. You know you have your workbook pages, and bless you, you probably are behind from Thanksgiving week still in here. Bless your heart. If you are not, and you're just freaking awesome, good for you. If you showed me all the things, would it kill you to start on the study guide since that's what we're doing tomorrow? Absolutely not. Okay, let me get my pen.